Nothing seems to be working except frustration. The wait is over. Order your organic detox tea and resolution drops from the Wait is Over company and start feeling better by shedding pounds. Not all detox systems are the same. Listen to those who have used the tea with fantastic results. Visit her website, totallifechanges.com/4219711 to get all the information you need to feeling better. Drink 2 cups a day, and you too can lose 5 pounds in 5 days. Call today, 954-696-8330, and listen to testimonials about proper weight loss using the tea. Ask about the opportunity to earn $50,000 by Christmas with a Total Life Changes business opportunity. Call today, 954-696-8330, and change your life today.
Welcome to New Business on Main Street with Russ Johnson. It's where social media meets millions of today's consumers. The Entrepreneur Business Strategy will reach over 200 million Americans this year. If moving goods and services is important to you, then you won't want to miss this information on the techniques, skills, and strategies that will increase your bottom line. Get ready for super profits to be made with entrepreneur marketing. There are 92 million millennials in the United States, meaning those born between 1980 and the year 2000. They will take over the leadership of major corporations in the next few years. These future captains of industry are convinced that entrepreneur marketing is the smart way of doing business. It's where entrepreneurship meets millions of today's consumers. So sit back, relax. It's time to learn how to take advantage of this strategy in today's economy. Now, here's Russ Johnson.
Hi, good afternoon. Welcome back to New Business on Main Street. Really enjoy the fact that for those of you who follow us and understand that we're presenting new concepts and constructs in terms of making things happen in the world, because when you look at the job market and you look at things being outsourced and downsized and all of that, and when you look at technology taking over. So what we do, we come each and every week to try to present to you a new idea, new concepts, a new way to look at things. And I was talking to a young lady earlier today, and with one company that's just getting started out in Utah. And she was giving me a whole 1, 2, 3 of what we need to do. She was in customer service. And she says that when you have a product or a service, what you have to do is identify the needs of the person rather than talking about selling an item to a person, hoping that they would join your team, if you will, especially when you're talking about multi-level network marketing. And so she says, if you identify the needs of the person, whether it be a product or a service, and we were talking about a product, that health product, and health industry is growing by leaps and bounds, that for the people who happen to be in the field of marketing, that you must identify whatever concerns the person so you can address their needs so that they'll get the benefit from the product that you have. And then she went on to say that in addition to taking that approach, you must always be aware that people buy from those people who they trust, respect, and like. And so you're establishing a relationship with a person, and that's the bottom line. It's not like the old salesman, he put his foot in the door and insists that you buy no matter what. The car salesman, buy this no matter what. You have to make sure that person, it's like referral marketing, that person has the need to look at what you have, has a concern for what you have, and has a willingness to sit and listen to how it will benefit them. So we are talking about benefits to that person, not just saying, this is a shiny car and has 6 cylinders or 8 cylinders, has air conditioning, all that. But you have to make sure that person is interested in that item that you are talking about. And so I was and she was in customer service, and so I was really excited about listening to her and talking about in terms of what you need to do to focus on a person. So the old salesperson just want to close, always be closing. Like friends of mine say, always be closing, always try to get the sale, always get them to sign on the bottom line, always force yourself to get the check. That's not what we do when we talk about referral marketing. That's not what you really talk. And the people who are traditional salespersons or think they're good at sales, really fall on the face when it comes to network marketing or multi-level marketing, or what I like to call these days social media marketing, because our concern is for the individual, that they have a benefit, that they can use your service, and that they're willing to use your service. And then the other piece too, by the way, is that you have to talk about guarantees. So if you have a product that you say, hey, this product, if you have high blood pressure, diabetes, arthritic pains, fibromyalgia, you make sure that you say to that person, if you really believe in the product, and if you have a legitimate product, by the way, with scientific research, that you make sure that you tell the person that this is 30 days, 60 days out, 90 days out. It doesn't make any difference. If it's not doing you any good, if it's not resolving the problems that you have, let's return it. We give you your money back. And that's the way that we're talking about the new deal these days, because we have to have concern for the end user, not for what I can put in my pocket as a result of having this transaction. That's the real deal. And the people who are looking at sales in the old manner, 1,000 ways to close a person, 1,000 ways to get the check from the person, as has been talked about. I think that's passé, and I don't think that's going to work anymore, because I like to buy, but I don't want to be sold. I don't want anybody to force me to buy something I don't want, don't need, or if I don't have the money to buy it, not interested. I want to be able to buy what I want to buy that fits my interests and my needs. And so that's the bottom line of what we want to talk about in terms of the new way of handling business. And so what we want to do, too, is bring to the microphone each week those individuals who understand the new way of doing business. And so that's why we call the program The New Business on Wall Street, not the old way it's done, the new business on Wall Street. Because as we reach out to the next 5, 10, 15, 20, 30, 40, 50 years, things are going to be done differently, as you've seen it already. With respect to the job market, well, that's another fiasco that seems to be happening. Anyway, I want to be able to just go over some ideas. So anybody who has any ideas or any concepts or any questions, feel free to give me a call, and that's 888-565-1470. That's 888-565-1470. So feel free to call me and have some discussion. We want to also say that there are many, 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 many companies starting today, some of which will be around 5 years from now, some of which won't, some of which may be around 10, 15, 20 years from now. And so in networking, when you hear about these companies, be it Amway or Shockley or Herbalife or Nu Skin or some of these companies, of course they're solid, but there are a lot of new companies starting up, and sometimes they just don't have the financial wherewithal to go long term. Sometimes the people at the helm of those companies don't know how to make it happen for the long run. But for those companies, and that's why you need to do a lot of due diligence and make sure that it's solid in terms of the people who are running the company. That do they know what they're talking about? Have they done this before? Do they have any credibility in terms of going long term? Is there a real deep and abiding concern for the end user, or for just making the first dollar, like in some of those games? So that's the bottom line. Do they have enough money to solve the problems? And when they go into momentum, when they take off and go fast, and when they just explode because it becomes a very popular deal, do they have enough money to sustain themselves as they go through their growth curve? And is the product any good? Does the product really hold its own? It doesn't have a guarantee that when you use a product that it will solve the problems. And does it have that, what I call money back guarantee, where you say, it doesn't work, I want my money back. Okay, let's just take a break right here. I'm calling for a break, and so we'll be back right here on 1470, The New Business.
Persistence is the difference between success and failure. Lack of persistence is a weakness that is common to the majority of people. It is a weakness which may be overcome by effort. If you are to accomplish the goal you have set for yourself, you must form the habit of persistence. Things will get difficult. It will seem as though there is no longer any reason to continue. But if you will go that extra mile and keep going, the skies will clear and you will see the first signs of abundance that is to be yours because you had the courage to persist. With persistence will success come.
This is New Business on Main Street with Russ Johnson, where you can learn the strategies needed to be a successful business entrepreneur. Want to learn more about the opportunities entrepreneur marketing can show you to help you be successful? Go to newbusinessonmainstreet.com. That's newbusinessonmainstreet.com. Once again, here is Russ Johnson.
Hey, welcome back to New Business on Main Street. That's 1470. And we will be here each and every, I think, Tuesday. I was talking to the producer, and we were talking about changing the date, but it may be every Tuesday. But we will be on the air, whether it be Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, or Thursday, or Friday, or whatever it is. We want to bring the concepts and the strategies and the skills and the techniques to you that will allow you to work from home and make some serious money, because the money is out there. The people who have been around this industry and seen Amway started, by the way, in 1959. Now it's 55 years old. And it's doing very well, not only in this country, but in 90 countries throughout the world. And the last report I saw, they're doing about $1 billion a month. So that's $12 billion a year in volume. So it's really one of the most successful companies out there. And then when you talk about looking at Mary Kay or Avon, those companies, Avon has been around, since 1896 or something like that. Mary Kay has been around at least 30 years, maybe more. And it's doing about $1 billion a month. It's way up there. So those companies are very solid. They've been here, and they do direct sales, and those ladies who get out there and make those things happen, even Tupperware. I'm just thinking, too, while I was just talking about that, Warren Buffett, the multi-billionaire, he has a company called Pampered Chefs. Now, that's 30 years old, better than 30 years old. And he says it is the best investment that he's ever made. The company is doing exceptionally well, and people are using the service and doing very, very well. The other company Donald Trump had one, but he understands network marketing, and I'll talk about the Rise Entrepreneur, that film, but he understands that. And so, Rick is on the phone? Okay. Hey, Rick, you're on the air. Russ here. You called in?
Hello.
Go ahead,
Hello.
Rick.
Yes, sir.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you, sir.
Okay. You called in.
Yes, I had an observation and a quick question. A lot of what you're talking about doesn't also have a lot to do with regular companies that are out there, self-made companies. Like I have a company that I work on, and I market it, I sell it, I produce it, I do the whole 9 yards to it. Is it the same concept that you're talking about with the on your program?
Yes or no? What you say? You have a company. I can barely hear. Could the engineer turn that up just a little bit? I can barely hear you. Just coming, just a little bit.
I do the same thing. I sell my own concept. I created a concept and I sell it, and it's very similar to what you're talking about. No?
Okay, yeah, similar. Yeah, in a sense. So you have your own business. Is that right? It's financed by you or by your investors?
That's correct.
Right?
That's correct. It's financed by me. Yes.
Okay. So how's it coming? How's that doing? How's that working for you?
It's doing very well. And like anything else, it takes a little bit of time to establish it. But it's just funny because when I started this business, everybody laughed at me. And I'm doing very well after 5 years of doing it. I'm doing extremely well. And I'm listening to some of the things that you're talking about. And if I had known you back then, it probably would have been a whole lot easier to put this thing together.
It could have been, yeah. The thing I would recommend you do, since you have your own company, you have your own product, and who manufactures your product? I don't know what is it. You have a manufacturing?
I'm in the production business. I'm in the production business, and we do videos, and we do.
Oh, okay.
Different programs like that. We produce our own material.
Okay. So marketing is your key, right? You want to market and expand and develop. Is that right?
That's correct.
Okay. The marketing is everything. I don't care what it is. You have a bar soap, you have banana, whatever you have fruits, vegetables, whatever, you just invented something. Marketing, most people get stuck on marketing. And so I'm suggesting that if you have some ideas that you want to market and maybe stumbling along to reach out to the vast numbers of the people in the community, I would say call SCORE. You know SCORE? You ever heard of that?
No, I do not.
Oh, yeah, Google SCORE, SCORE. And those are retired business people who have come together all across the country to help budding entrepreneurs get off the ground. And so they do that for a nominal fee, or they do it free in many instances. So I would call SCORE. Then I would also, when you are looking for marketing help, I would go to the universities. Like, for instance, we have FAU here. We have other universities. You go to them, go to the department, the business department, especially dealing with marketing, and asking for some of the skills and techniques that they use so that help you to market your product. Because if you don't know how to market, no matter how great the product is, you fall on your face getting it out there. So that's the key. That's the bottom line.
Gotcha.
Right.
Okay, very good. Excellent.
Well, appreciate you calling in.
Thank you.
So 888-565-1470. That's 888-565-1470 if you have any questions about marketing. The other thing I would like to say, and I want to get back to social media marketing, because the brick and mortar business is wonderful, but still, when you talk to brick and mortar people who have traditional businesses, at a restaurant, got a gym, whatever it is, even a McDonald's or a Burger King, they will tell you they spend 80 hours a week or more. So it's like a babysitting job. I mean, they really are involved in putting in a lot of hours and sometimes getting little or no return. Most businesses, brick and mortar, that when you make your initial investment, you're going to have 5 years, easy 5 years, before you see any return on your investment. But if you break even after 5 years, that's not bad. But some people don't even get that far. So what I want to do is just go over some ideas of where we are. When we talk about what does it take to be successful in business, what does it take? Number one, you need to be committed to the process. So commitment is everything. Then you need to have the vision where you want to go. Then you have to talk about goals and objectives that each and every week, each and every day, each and every month, each and every year, 1 year goes, 5 year goes, 10-year goes, all of that. See, they say the person without a plan is planning to fail. So that's why they talk about goal setting. Goal setting is critical. Even if you only do it in your head, which is, they say that's not sufficient enough, because I was thinking about a longitudinal study that they did at Harvard University some 20 years ago. And they said 97% of the people who did not have goals and did not have them written down, they were doing okay. But the 3% of the people who had goals and had them written were worth more than the 97% of the other folks who didn't write those goals down. So that's a real key thing. Goal setting has to be written, has to be concentrated on every day, and you have to have the vision of where you're going and got to know where you're coming from to know where you're going. Well, let's do something else here. Let's take a break, and I want to come back with some statements and some strategies and some suggestions in terms of the books and the materials that you need in order to become successful in anything you do. This is 1470, The New Business on Main Street.
If you had access to all the wealth in the world and you used only a penny, you would be doing exactly what you very probably have been doing in the use of your brain. You own in your brain the most marvelous, inconceivably powerful force the world has ever known. There are 10 to 14 billion cells in the average human brain. It is the brain that has given us the supersonic airplane, the sciences, the arts. All that we know today and will use tomorrow has hatched from that small gray mass each of us carries around. Can you doubt, even for a moment, that your brain can bring you and yours everything you want here on Earth? Of course you can, if you recognize its power and stop acting like those who never even thought about it. Give it the job you have decided to accomplish and watch it handle it.
This is New Business on Main Street with Russ Johnson, where you can learn the strategies needed to be a successful business entrepreneur. Want to learn more about the opportunities entrepreneur marketing can show you to help you be successful? Go to newbusinessonmainstreet.com. That's newbusinessonmainstreet.com. Once again, here is Russ Johnson.
Tuning in, 1470. We'll be here at least, I think, probably every Tuesday, unless we change, but the station we will be on. We may change Monday night because I want to work with some other people, but we will be here. And so what we want to do is offer you a chance to look at alternative income-producing mechanisms. And one of the great mechanisms happen to be that most people are sleeping. It's called network marketing. Some people call it multi-level marketing, the old term of the 60s, of the 70s, of the 80s. I like to call it social media marketing, that big people understand. Donald Trump, Warren Buffett, Robert Kiyosaki, Mark Victor Hansen, Les Brown, all of them will tell you. There's a new tape, by the way. You might want to go and Google the tape. What is that? Rise Entrepreneur. It's called Rise Entrepreneur. And a guy named Eric Worre put that together, where you have all the people who have multi-millionaires, and people who have made millions and millions of dollars and really understand this industry. They are spelling it out for you, because you do need an alternative income-producing mechanism the way things are going. When you look at the 76 million baby boomers who are retiring every day, 10,000 a day for the next 16 years, the average retirement among that group happens to be $24,000 a year. And the average Social Security is about $11,000 a year. So let's call it $40,000 a year. And sometimes that's woefully inadequate in terms of working all those years, 35, 40, 45 years, to take a vacation and live a life of luxury, that it may not be there because of the rising inflation rates. And that's going to happen over and over again. So people are looking for alternative income-producing mechanisms. The veterans coming back from Afghanistan and other places, many of them, to make the adjustment, they have problems with the PTSD. Many of them are homeless, and we need to be addressing that issue to put them back to work, because it seems as if the administration hasn't been able to put those people back to work. And when we look even just at the college students, and there are 4,200 colleges in the United States, average enrollment, 15,000 persons per college. So that's what, 50 million people? And the latest statistic I have seen is saying that 54% of the people who do have degrees are unemployed or underemployed. So that seems to be a problem. So the millennials, the people who were born between 1980 and 2000, are having a problem making the adjustment of how to find adequate income. And many of whom are going to take jobs that $10 an hour, maybe 15. And that's not really sufficient enough to make a living and to raise a family and to pay all of your bills. So most people have more month left than money. So we want to talk about network marketing specifically. I think I've been doing it for a number of years. I've written some books on it. And I think that if you really want to just stretch your imagination to look at that film, again, Rise Entrepreneur, just punch it up, Google that, you will see that they lay out the strategies and the techniques and the skills needed if you do become an entrepreneur, if you do become a part of the social media movement that's going to sweep the country in the next 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 years. The thing that is you got to know, it's like the penny a day when you do join those kind of businesses. And I suggest that if you have a full-time job, hold on to it. But on the side, as Jim Rohn says in many of his tapes, or OHN, if you want to punch him up, he'll tell you that he made his first million doing network marketing. And that's way back years and years ago. He said up until the time he was 25 years old, he was broke. Mr. Schultz, who was his mentor, came to him and says, hey, listen, you're doing it all wrong. You don't have a plan. You don't have a plan A or plan B. And you're living from paycheck to paycheck, more month left than money. And so he got involved, and by the time he was 30 years old, he was a millionaire. And so he says that he worked part-time a long time until he got to the point that he was making more part-time than he was making full-time. And that's all possible. And that's called the penny a day. And that means that if you take a penny every day and you double it, 2, 4, 6, 8, by the time you get to the 30th day, you have a lot of money called millions of dollars, at least $5 million. So you can do the math yourself. Well, that's the same concept in network marketing. That in the beginning, you see very little, $10 a week, $20 a week, $30 a week, $50, $100 a week. But on the back end, 3 years later, if you stay the course and continue to build and continue to focus and continue to set your goals and reach out and with the vision and the determination, that you can see you could be making $10,000 a month or $20,000 a month or more. So I suggest that for the people who really are looking, that you go to Direct Selling Association of Washington, D.C., and that's www.dsa.org. And they've been monitoring the 1, 2, 3s of this since 1917, and so they kind of give you a clear picture that it is all possible. And sometimes the numbers of people get a little skewed by listening to the numbers that when you say you can make $10,000 a month from the comfort of your home, or $20,000 or $30,000 or whatever. Some people, it's hard for them to believe because they were trained and conditioned to think that I have to go to school for 4 years or 8 years to become a physician or more, to become a surgeon. And then I can make six-figure income. But it's not, and those are good. That's a good profession, but it's not always the only way that you can make a six-figure income. And I'm suggesting that you take a clear, good look at network marketing as a possibility of changing your lifestyle. Now, when I'm thinking in terms of, we look at people who start businesses. I'm looking at Howard Schultz. When he started Starbucks, there's a book called Pour One Cup at a Time, and you should read that if you want to know how Starbucks was funded and got started. But when he went out, he first started to talk to 242 investors. All of them said no, but 17 said yes. And the rest is history. The other ones didn't see the picture. And if you look at Colonel Sanders, when he first started, when he was 65 years old, he got his first Social Security check, and it was not sufficient to keep him alive and keep him feeling good for the rest of the time he was on this planet. But he decided that the Social Security check was insufficient, and so what he began to do was 1 minute. Okay, great. What he began to do was to take his mother's recipe, and he went from restaurant to restaurant, and he went to about 1,009 restaurants that said no, and finally he went to the one that said yes, and Kentucky Fried Chicken is born. And before he left, he was worth $30 million. Listen, appreciate you listening. I appreciate you being with us, and I appreciate you coming back next week. And give us a call, or give us some ideas of what we should be doing and talking about in terms of making sure that you understand that there is another way. And there is another way with the New Business on Wall Street, 1470. Thanks for listening. See you next week.
Out of the night that covers me, black as the pit from pole to pole, I thank whatever God may be for my unconquerable soul. In the fell clutch of circumstance, I have not winced nor cried aloud. Under the bludgeonings of chance, my head is bloody, but unbowed. Beyond this place of wrath and tears looms but the horror of the shade, and yet the menace of the years finds me unafraid. It matters not how strait the gate, how charged with punishments the scroll. I am the master of my fate. I am the captain of my soul. William Ernest Henley.
Do you know of anyone who lives with pain or has high blood pressure, diabetes, or asthma? Do seizures or any other types of illness run in the family? Then this message could be very important to you. Rain International introduces Soul, a new energized drink that revitalizes and detoxifies